As the call for Nnamdi Kanu's release intensifies, a new war of words has erupted, this time between the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC, Dr. Josef Onoh, and the indigenous people of Biafra Ipob. Onoh, who once served as the Southeast spokesman for President Tinubu's campaign, has warned Ipob in the strongest terms yet, accusing the group of sabotaging the very cause they claim to be fighting for. But Ipob isn't taking this lying down. They fired back, describing Onoh's position as not only misinformed, but also as an attempt to shield the government's lawlessness. At the heart of this exchange lies one burning question. Is Ipob truly advancing the freedom of their detained leader, or are they unintentionally tightening the chains that hold him? Today on Political Arena, we take a deep dive into the heated confrontation, the stakes for Nnamdi Kanu, and the wider implications for the Southeast in Nigeria at large. In a statement released to newsmen in Abuja recently, Josef Onoh didn't mince words. He described Ipob's latest threats that there will be unimaginable consequences and even the end of Nigeria if anything happens to Kanu in DSS custody, as dangerous rhetoric that endangers the very Igbo people Ipob claims to protect. According to Onoh, Ipob's threats are not the voice of a people seeking justice. They are the desperate cries of a movement that has lost its way. Onoh compared Ipob's fiery threats to the sparks that triggered World War I, warning that such inflammatory statements only undermine efforts to secure Kanu's release. He pointed out the irony. While Ipob warns of a keg of gunpowder in DSS custody, they conveniently ignore the real powder keg they themselves have detonated, the notorious sit-at-home orders. For Onoh, those directives have crippled the Southeast. Onitsha's once bustling trade volume has been cut in half. Aba's factories, known for innovation and production, have gone idle. Enugu's streets, once vibrant, now turn into ghost towns. He argues that these are not acts of resistance, but acts of collective punishment against the people. Instead of rallying support, Ipob's methods repel potential allies and strengthen hardliners in Abuja who would rather see Kanu remain in custody indefinitely. Interestingly, Onoh is not someone who has opposed Kanu's release. In fact, he has been one of the few voices from the ruling party consistently calling for a political and humanitarian solution. Just last year, he said he would rather see Kanu freed than the Southeast clinch the Senate presidency. On September 20th this year, he publicly urged President Tinubu to release Kanu into the custody of Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu and Senator John Azotambata, the President General of Ohanes and Igbo worldwide. Onoh argued that such a gesture would de-escalate tensions and restore investor confidence in the Southeast. He also praised President Tinubu for showing inclusiveness, highlighting appointments like Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala as Chief of Naval Staff, a position never given to an Igbo man under the previous administration. Yet, Onoh laments that each time a political pathway begins to take shape, Ipob derails it with threats that drown out reason. In his words, your threats will not fracture Nigeria, they will fracture the Southeast further. But Ipob is not letting Onoh's words slide. In a strongly worded statement issued by its spokesperson Ima Powerful, the group described Onoh's comment as unfortunate and a product of a misinformed mind. For Ipob, Kanu's continued detention is not the fault of agitation. It is a clear case of government lawlessness. They reminded Nigerians that Kanu has already been discharged and acquitted by a competent court, but the government insists on a retrial scheduled for October 26, 2025. Emma Powerful argued that this amounts to double jeopardy, a principle forbidden in every constitutional democracy. According to him, instead of begging, people like Onoh should be demanding that the government respect its own laws. IPOB also raised legal and constitutional issues. They pointed out that the charges against Kanu are being prosecuted under the repealed Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, which has been replaced by the TPPA 2022. They highlighted Nigeria's failure to obtain permission from Kenyan courts for Kanu's rendition, stripping the Abuja court of jurisdiction, and they accused the Nigerian state of trying to impose criminal liability on Kanu through civil ex parte orders, something they describe as unconstitutional and an embarrassment to the judiciary. Emma Powerful declared, "No law in Nigeria or anywhere else in the world permits criminal conviction to flow from civil procedures. This is another grave abuse that Onoh has failed to grasp." So here we are, with two opposing narratives. On one side, Onoh insists IPOB's threats and sit-at-home orders have devastated the Southeast, hardened Abuja's stance, and pushed Kanu's release further away. He frames IPOB as self-sabotaging, burning bridges instead of building them. On the other hand, IPOB argues that Onoh is shielding the government, ignoring the blatant illegality of Kanu's continued detention. They maintain that the real lawlessness lies not with IPOB, but with a Nigerian state that refuses to obey its own court and constitution. The stakes are high. For IPOB supporters, this is about justice and freedom for their leader. For critics like Onoh, it is about peace, dialogue, and saving the Southeast from economic collapse. Well, this is Political Arena. Do well to join the conversation in the comments. What do you think about Onoh's statement, and what do you think about IPOB's response to his statement? Do well to subscribe, like, share, and be active in the comments. And let's build a community of politically conscious people. See you on the next one.
Unbridled diplomatic blunder and administrative recklessness, culminating in the blatant abuse of executive powers and abysmal violation of international laws and treaties. I am convinced that you would admit, even if not publicly, but in your heart of hearts, that Nigeria committed a heinous, daft crime by the singular act of extraordinary rendition of a British citizen from a third-party country.